What's up, man? I got NYC Crime Spot here today. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Good, Mike. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, bro.
Oh, man, thank you for taking time and come on and talk with me, man. I really appreciate it. You've been helpful the whole time that I met you, and it's an honor to talk with you, man. I appreciate
Thank you, bro. Well, I think you're a good guy, bro, and you're funny as hell. So,
it. Thanks, man. Hey, little pockets in goes a long way, bro.
yeah.
All right, man. Hey, let's just jump into it, man. I just want to talk to you about like being a content creator, some of your interviews, just YouTube stuff like that, man. So
Yeah, man.
I want to
Sounds
start
awesome.
off with like, yeah, a lot of people probably know your story and everything. So if there's stuff, that's just trivial that you've done or whatever that everyone knows, you can
I don't
skip
do
it.
these that much, Mike. This is like, I don't know. You might be like the third or fourth person in my 3 years on here that's asked me to like come on for an interview.
Is that
So,
right? Oh man,
yeah,
I'm
to be
shocked.
honest, I don't really do these. Not because I'd say no or whatever, just I don't get asked really. So
Wow,
I
hey,
usually
a lot
say
of
yes a few times.
yeah. No, it's cool, man. I think some people maybe just like a lot of time people are scared to ask people to do
Yeah,
interviews or stuff
yeah.
because they're worried. Oh man, they may say no or they may this. But anyway, man, yeah, I'm appreciative of it. Um, First question I'm gonna have, man, is a simple one. Like, how did you get into YouTube, man, to become a content creator? What made
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want to do that?
Yeah, so I would say that first of all, before like YouTube, I always kind of wanted to document things, either like documentary filmmaker or something like that, like I was always interested in documenting reality, real life things. I grew up as a kid, born in the, I won't say late 80s, let's say. That probably sounds crazy to you. You were probably doing something real stupid at that time.
Shit, no joke.
Yeah. So growing up, if I'm sure you remember, Mike, like HBO in the 90s into the early 2000s, like there was a lot of stuff that I was watching on that as a kid that was like really gritty, I guess you could say. Like a lot of documentaries that were filmed in New York, like Hookers at the Point, or Taxi Cab Confessions when they would be in New York, or even like a show like Real Sex or whatever, all that weird stuff. And of course, like then you had the TV shows like Oz, The Wire, Sopranos. So I think being exposed to like HBO documentaries as a kid kind of put something in my head that's still here today, where, to be honest with you, Mike, like I don't really like movies that much. Like I don't like sci-fi, Marvel. I have like this thing in my head where like if it can't like happen in real life, or if it's like totally fake, like I have a really hard time even watching that stuff. So HBO probably poisoned me as a young kid, and basically I just always wanted to document stuff. And in 2021, during the pandemic, although I was working or worked through the whole thing, I still work, right? I decided that it would be a good time to, since there wasn't that many people out, maybe I'll have a little less fear going out with a camera or my phone, or capturing some of these things on the street and talking about some of the criminal history in New York City. And after a few months, I started noticing people were subscribing, people were liking what I was doing, people were asking me to, can you go to this place? Can you go to that place? I always wanted to see this, see that. And I think I just stuck with it, Mike. And to be honest with you, there isn't many things in my life that I've stuck to. Uh, it's a problem I've had my whole life. I don't know if it's because I'm into so many things or I like to be creative. It's definitely like a cliche issue with like creative people where they have problems sticking to things. They're always moving on to the next thing. So this is
Totally
honestly, Mike,
understand.
this is like the only thing in my life that I've ever committed to and actually stuck to 3 years now. So,
Man.
um, yeah, so I guess I'm just stuck now. I don't know if that answers the
Well,
question. I mean, I just kind of went
no,
off on
that does a lot. No, that's really good, man. So you were always kind of into the because I can relate to you on that. I've never been into much like sci-fi stuff or anything like that as much as more of true crime or
right.
like even unsolved mysteries or watching America's Most
Oh yeah,
Wanted or shows that were almost I mean they're kind of like say Goodfellas or The Godfather or something. Those are things that could happen or have happened. And
Right.
even if they change them a little, I'm still like, okay, that's real stuff. Or even the Colors, man, show like Colors. That was stuff that was really happening. And so I really, I was into that more also. So I can relate to that aspect.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think made you be, because I can relate to you with the jumping around or not sticking with something. I've had that with, like, I'll get deep into something, be like, oh, that's cool, and then I'm all of a sudden, boom, let's go do this. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, it's a fucking curse. I mean, it really is. Like, it's a good thing because, like, after so many years of doing it, you could almost hang with anybody. Like, you can have a conversation about so many different things. You almost end up knowing a little bit about everything, but usually it's hard to stick to it. Yeah, you just leave it behind, and whatever you learned,
Yeah, no, I get it, man. I'm telling you, that really, like, hits home, man. So as far, because I guess that's how I got into so many different things, because I would do this like as a kid, man. I'd be skateboarding, love skateboarding, man. Or BMX or whatever. And they'd be like, bam, let's go BMX 100%. Do that for like hardcore for however long, and then boom, let's go do this. It's
but you know what's different about this? It's like all those things that I got into, Mike, some of them were very rewarding to me, whether they be working out intensively or Brazilian jiu-jitsu or being into art or making art or doing all these things. But it was kind of like all the satisfaction was just coming from me, right? And then YouTube, it was like all this outside satisfaction, like everyone's saying how cool you are, or your channel's so cool, I like what you're doing. So that kind of got me going. That was the first time I experienced that anyone gave a fuck about anything I did,
That's
so
cool.
that was different too, so that's another way that I kind of look at it.
Right. Well, see, that was going to be my question that I didn't have planned, was what about being a content creator in YouTube made you more like to where you were stuck to it or kept doing it? But that's your answer there, man.
That kind of is my answer. I had to get over a lot to even do it because I'm naturally a shy person. I'm very introverted. I didn't spend my 20s partying, getting wasted, and going to clubs and being around old people. And I always kind of hid. I have my core group of friends, many of them who are still my friends today. But, I kind of, and I'm glad I did that. I feel good. I feel okay, but
sure.
it was a lot. It was a lot. I remember when I did my first interview on here, I was like, well, I have to have some etiquette, right? I can't be the guy behind the thumbnail avatar interviewing somebody, right? So I'm like, all right, well, here it is. I'm going to have to finally show my face on this fucking channel. Up until now, I've just been the man behind the camera walking on the streets or the voice behind the documentary. So that was a lot. That was a lot for me to do. And once I did it, I kind of opened myself up for other things.
Mm-hmm. And how long was it before you first showed your face, as far as your channel goes?
Man.
Was it a while?
It might have been somewhere maybe 6 or 8 months, maybe.
Man.
I don't know. You'd have to check. I think the interview is actually, it might even be with Ross. Ross Brodar was my first person I've ever interviewed on this channel.
Is that
like
right?
I said, that might have been 6 or 8 months into this. I'd have to check. But
wow, that's interesting, man, to be able to build up a channel like that, man, without even having to, that's really cool.
I appreciated the anonymity. Like, I didn't want my face, and I still really don't want my face to be like, some people can do it. Some people pull it off, but like, it's still weird. It's still weird to like put my face. But
I get it, man. I still can't hardly, man, listen to my own stuff and my own voice. I'm just like, geez, man. You know what I mean?
I'll be honest with you though. Like, honestly, Mike, like, you got a good look, you got a good thing going on. I feel like I have a lot of problems with the way people do things on YouTube. Like, a lot of people's thumbnails, like, they're always putting their face on the thumbnail, and it's like the size.
Meanwhile, mine's in the back of the thing.
No. What I was going to tell you, is you're someone that I don't see a problem with. I feel like you have a good look. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what I'm trying to say when I say that, but I feel
I get.
You like look like a tough guy. Like you're funny and shit. So But for me, like I never wanted my face like on a thumbnail, and I think I see a lot of people doing that, and I feel like they look stupid. But that's just me being judgmental, I guess.
No, I get it, bro. And it's not for, and like I said, it's not for everybody, and that's why those answers are that you gave, man, are so intriguing to me, because I can kind of understand on several points what you're saying. As far as so Ross was your first guy that you interviewed, man, and man, he's a neat guy, man, and his whole story is really
I have a lot of respect for Ross.
Yeah, dealing with Dominic and all that, Dominic Montiglio, really neat story. But so you've interviewed how many people have you interviewed now, man? I mean, I know.
Well, most of my channel is not interviews, but
right.
Maybe I don't know, in 3 years, Mike. I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 or 7.
Right, and they're all like, but they're all like, right. Where you got like Pete the Pick coming back on.
Well, no repeats. Like Ross has been on my channel like 4 or 5 times, or
yeah,
and
people who were already on. Right.
But yeah, maybe different people, 5, 6, 7, something like that.
Right. You've had, and they're all interesting people, though. I mean, it's not like it's just the plumber and whatever. Which
right. Well, that's why I don't do that many. Mike. That's why I don't do that many, because I like aim high, or like I reach out to the weirdest fucking people, and I just don't have luck. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm not going to do them then. That's kind of how I look at it.
I mean, but the ones you got, bro, is like okay, let's talk about Pete, man. I mean, dude, that's an interesting guy who's just got stories that nobody can even probably most of America wouldn't even think are real. The stuff he's been around or seen, the people he knew, and then, you're sitting there and you've got what seems to be a cool relationship with him, a good rapport, that he talks with you freely about all these things. Really neat, man. I mean,
being friends with Pete, like I have his number, I can call him right now. It's weird, because I'll say, like, there's things like in life, right? Like, let's say you see a documentary or you read a book or you listen to a radio program and it just fucks your head up. And then for the rest of your life, like, that might change your outlook on life for some reason, That's happened to me a couple of times. Like, and one of those things, now, if you ask Pete the Pick LaFrosia, Murder Machine, is it true? He goes, 50%, 50% true, 50% bullshit, But like, when I first read the book years ago, let's just assume it's 100% true. I was naive, I wasn't even, too like deep up on mob history, whatever. So I accepted as fact. So when I read that book, Murder Machine, it changed the way I looked at New York City for the rest of my life. Like, I'll never look at New York City the same. I'll never look at what humans are capable of doing the same. I have a better understanding of like the Brooklyn that my parents grew up in now, and just learning about this stuff. But like, that book in particular kind of just fucked my head up a little bit. And I was like, this can't be like really, like, this is what people are capable of. Like, is this the mafia? Like, this is really what they're doing? Like, even though they're outliers in thing, and they're, maybe psychotic. But long story short, to then befriend Pete some years later and have this guy on my phone, somebody that's in the book, very, very strange, kind of surreal at times, especially when I first met him, just to pick his brain. And like you said, the things he knows, obviously, you know that there's things he could never talk about on YouTube, and
right.
The things he's seen, the things he's done, the people who he's been
with.
Pete is very interesting, and it's been very interesting to get to know somebody like that, for sure, man.
Right. And the, like you say, man, just like you're seeing the shows that you've seen, what they did changed your outlook. Imagine the life that he lived, and he's still living, and it's still got to be right there in his head. That's stuff that ain't going nowhere, man. I mean, the stuff that ain't bullshit in that book, he knows. And it's like, it has to, it has to weigh on people, period, man. I mean, listen, when Dominic talked, he talked about it a lot, So
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
it's
And a lot of people, and something people often do on the internet when you speak about somebody, it's like, oh, who's that guy? I never heard of him, or this and that, because he's not Sammy the Bull, because he's not this, because he's not that, and or maybe because he's not Joey Testa in the DeMeo crew, he's Pete LaFrocia. You know what I'm saying? But the guy was in that world. Did over 22 years in prison and was with multiple people, not just the DeMeo crew. And I've thought about that too. Like, all right, he's 75 years old now. How is what's in his head? Like, what memory randomly pops in a guy like that's head randomly on a Saturday morning? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be weird. Man. The type of characters that might just pop in your head, the moments you might think of.
Right. Because he's seen some stuff that, man, people don't even see in movies. They won't even show. You know what I'm saying? And he knows guys that have done stuff that is only that people just can't, like, people in the regular world just can't realize that actually happened or believe that it happened. And two of the guys just got released, man. Right. Aren't they both out now?
Yeah, Anthony's officially out. He was out as of last Friday, the 21st, I believe. But yeah, like you said, you can't believe it because, I mean, and even if it's only 50% true, like Pete says, whatever, right? When you first accept it as truth, when you read it and you're just reading it, you're not questioning it. You're not reading it to questioning it. You're just reading it, right? You say, wait a second, this can't be fucking true. This world is real, especially because I grew up in New York City, Mike. I can't fathom that world even existed. I can't even really? Like, I can't even.
You were right there.
I can't even comprehend that. Just thinking of that landscape in the same streets that I walk today, it's weird. That's why it's fascinating.
Sure. Yeah, it's a total underworld that and that's what's cool about your channel, man. And what you do is because you bring these stories in a different perspective. And a lot of times you're on the street and showing these places and things, just like the one you did the other day, man, with the restaurant and stuff. That was really cool, man. I mean, you go, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but you go in these spots and it's like, this happened here, and that brings a different angle to it. You're not just reading a book, I've never in my life been a big book reader, right? Because I was out of school. The last solid year of school I did was 8th grade. But at the beginning of 9th grade, I was kicked out, and I never finished another.
That's like a popular dropout year for some. I've known so many people.
That's
8th
where it
grade.
happens.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know, something about the 8th grade. People just like.
What I've gathered, man. I think when you go to middle school, that's where things change. When you're becoming a teenager,
for sure.
And for me, it was being able to hang out with older people. At that point, you got a lot more freedom. Back then, nowadays, kids probably don't even walk home from school or stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You can't. But you'll get kidnapped or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or they just Uber home. I don't know shit. But anyway, back then, I mean, that's what I always thought. Like in my head, I was like, man, middle school is like all, that's where kids start to really go. Some kids, it's later, I guess. But anyway, my whole point of that is I was never a big book reader. You know what I mean? And so like Murder Machine is one of the ones that I've read all the way through and was like, and it was always those type of true crime books. Like I read Monster's book, Autobiography of LA Gang Member, Tookie's book. It was always stuff like that. That's what I'm reading. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Poisoning my mind with, I guess.
Yeah, the first book I ever read, Mike, when I think I was in junior high, because I wasn't a big reader till later in my life, but sometimes I would, decide to read a book, randomly. It was a book about Albert Fish, who was a New York City serial killer back in the early 20th century. He was executed at Sing Sing in the 1930s. Child, cannibal.
All those totally, really almost like Dahmer, I guess, right?
Like just a really sick man. His image, the way he looks is wild. Just an old, scary looking man. They called him the Gray Man, the Vampire of Brooklyn, a lot of names for him. But yeah, that was one of the first books I read, and in that book, I don't know. Are you familiar with Fish, Mike?
I know a guy who was telling me about him one time.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% at
yeah.
all like up
So
on his story.
right. So in that book or anywhere, I mean, even you could pull up a news article from the time. They would have printed the letter. You know, he abducted this girl from Manhattan, and Manhattan was, of course, very different in the 1930s. And he was the old man. Yeah, I'll watch your daughter. The parents trusted him, and he basically took her upstate to a cottage, and he consumed her body. I don't want to say anything crazy. You know,
Yeah.
and then he wrote a letter to the parents about how he did it, what he did, how tasty it
Damn.
was. Yeah, the young girl by the name of Grace Budd. That was the young girl who lost her life. And he wrote this letter to the family detailing everything he did. And as a kid, I was like, that is so fucking bizarre, dude. Like, why would somebody do that? Like,
Just yeah,
um,
man. What a disgusting person.
yeah. But at the
You
same
know,
time, it sparks your interest. Like, wait, how many other lunatics
weirdos
like this
are out there.
actually existed? Like, and then you start going down
Right.
this weird rabbit hole.
Yeah, I got you. You know, there was the guy that I was mentioning. He was a tattoo artist. That was telling me about that guy. He also was. Oh man, there was another serial killer there. It's his name, Holmes.
Oh yeah, H.
And I
Holmes.
think
Yeah,
they weren't H. Holmes, and he
yep.
didn't he have like
He had a shop, I believe, a
hotel
chemist
or something
or
like
something
that.
like a hotel. Yeah,
Right,
I'm
right.
thinking of something else.
Yeah, but he had like didn't he have access to a hotel where he would like or something where people would
Yeah,
disappear, like he had hidden rooms or something weird like
yes,
that
he
or
was a
something.
freak.
So this guy got big into that and was kind of like every time I'd come in or something, he'd be telling me, you know, man, I'm on this page, this happened or whatever. Oh, it's
It's
crazy.
crazy. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's yeah, it blows your mind, man. It's the same like, you know, listen to mob stuff or whatever. That's happening, those are real people or whatever.
Right,
It's
right.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and
It's
I think,
crazy.
listen, there's some lunatics in the world that get inspired by that stuff. I mean, listen, there is
Sure.
a few nut jobs running around, but for the most part, I think that people that do consume true crime stuff and are interested in true crime and stuff, I think that you might find that they might be some of the most normal people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't mean they're weird or whatever. If
I
anything, they're
don't think
more
so. Yeah.
aware. They're more aware of evil, if anything, or they have a
Right.
sense of like weird evil or psychology. Because then by default you start learning about psychology and narcissism, and you start learning about all
Right.
these things. So, if you start to become aware too, you know,
Right. Yeah, it's like it's probably what criminologists and people like
right?
that study and look they're constantly having to read stuff like that about people like that to learn to know how to catch them and what to look for. So it yeah, you're right. It does I would definitely think it would make you sharper on noticing weirdo things like that like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
cuz yeah, you're learning about it. Yeah. Um So, are there any like as far as interviews go? Like you said, you don't do a bunch of them. You aim high. Um, I've got two questions on that. First one I'll ask you is there any people in the past that are deceased that would be like that you're like, man, I wish I could interview that person. Like, is there any
Right.
figures, you know, that
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah. Well, the easy answer is like Roy DeMeo, but I'm going to leave him out of it. Because a lot of people watch this know that I have a lot of interest in that case or whatever. But so I'll leave
right,
him
right.
out of it. I'll leave that out of it. Anybody that I could interview, man, I don't want to think about it too long. So I'm gonna,
No, that's okay, man. Well, let me pop you up another one in
yeah,
between. You
do
may,
that.
the next one is person that's alive now, someone that's currently out there that's like a bucket list interview. Do you have one like that? That someone, you know, do you have anyone like that you want to that you jump and be like, dang, man, if I had the paper even to pay for that interview, I'd do it.
Yeah,
Any
it's
people like that?
John Corneglia
Okay,
or John Cornelia is silent G. Some people say you have to say it like Cornelia, not Charles, who's in prison, but the brother John.
John.
Yeah, yeah.
He was
People,
recently released, huh?
yeah, I think
Was he recently?
John was released in, I believe, 2000. 18, something like that.
Oh, okay. So he's been out a little while. Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Yeah, I
up
think he
on.
did
Okay,
29 or 30 years. Him and Gene Gotti both did about 30 years. We're just short of
about
like
the
30
same.
years or something like that. Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so did they went to jail on the same pinch?
Yeah.
Both
Yeah.
of
They
them.
both went away for the heroin.
Okay,
50-year
okay,
sentences.
right,
Gotti wouldn't let him take
so
pleas. You know,
right.
50 years. But they did
That
about,
I'd never get.
they did 30
I'd
on him.
never get that.
It's
I'd
bizarre.
never
Yeah. I
get
mean, it's a weird thing.
the
Yeah.
the the no plea thing because he was able to take a plea on the McBratney case
Right.
and do very minimal time,
Right.
and yet they upheld that. He upheld that rule that I don't know who made on that case with his brother. They could have
Yeah.
probably done half the time or less.
Yeah.
They're not going to win.
Just one of those. Some people are like that. I mean, I don't know if you know, like P. Kyoto, big fat P. Kyoto, Lucchese family. He had
Mm-hmm.
taken a plea too, and that's how he got shot. Gas pipe, and Musso. That's how he got shot 12 times at a gas station. And he lived
Just
because
for
he was so
taking the
fat.
plea.
Yeah, yeah, he was copping out to at the time. Well, there was a bunch of things going on, but you had the Windows thing going on, and he had gotten in trouble for beating up a guy that was with the DC9 Painters Union. Um, and there was a bunch of other guys that got wrapped up on the side with the Painters Union stuff. But basically, the Windows case and all that, he was gonna go to prison and admit whatever, and then he'd get shot 12 times at a gas station. Survived because he was so fat. And then they shot his sister,
Damn.
Patricia
Now, see, that's
Capozzalo.
supposed to be completely against the rules.
Yeah,
Was you know,
yeah.
and
He shot his sister a
listen,
bunch
man.
of times. She lived.
Wow.
She survived. I don't think her life was ever the same after that. I believe I read, but yeah, yep.
So who if it's out there, who okayed that or
Well, that was Casso. It's those sick
just from
fucks.
Casso? Yeah, well,
Yeah,
he's crazy.
cases.
I mean, he's just flat
Yeah,
out insane. So I
yeah. They
mean,
were in
that
charge
doesn't
of that.
shock me.
They were in charge at that time, and it's got there's like a crazy headline at the time. Now mob hits mom, and it's like the woman's face on the cover of the news. So I think
Oh,
that's the headline. Yeah, yeah, crazy stuff, man, crazy stuff. Oh
and
yes, and not
that
everybody likes you to take a plea.
no. Obviously, bro. Obviously, but it's like to me, it was just so. And I don't even say hypocritical because supposedly he did it because Gambino got him uh, Roy Cohn as his lawyer, and that's what they did and told him to do, and he did it. But in my opinion, if you're taking a plea and it's not hurting other people, I don't see
Right.
what the disadvantage is at all.
Yeah.
If it's a global plea, if everybody's going, hey, we're all going to do it,
Yeah.
Now if one guy's
Yeah.
going, nah, I don't want to do it. Okay, for instance, the Mitch Smiley, we had him on a couple times before, and
Mhm.
I talked to Mitch pretty regularly, almost every other day or daily. He's a cool guy, man, very interesting guy. And Mitch could have taken a plea as a kid. He caught that case at 17, and he was hanging out with them older guys, and they didn't tell him don't take a plea. He just had that mindset from what he told us that I'm not taking no plea. I'm not doing that. In fact, he told him to transfer him from juvenile to the regular county
Really?
jail.
Wow.
He was in a juvenile. He was going to get like a month or two and be out. And he just didn't. He was so hardcore at that time as a kid and thought, hey, I'm with these guys. I got to, live up
Yeah.
to this. And he didn't realize, how it was going to go bad like that. And he ended up with life, man. Life in prison. Isn't that
Why? Because
terrible?
when he got in there, he was doing more crimes and things just kept adding
No,
up.
they gave him he got life on that case, I think. He got life and
Jesus.
he ended up doing 30 36 years, and then they started paroling people. See, he really he didn't think he'd ever get out. But when they started to parole people there, for a long time, California wouldn't parole. Nobody got parole. And then some of those laws started to change, and guys were like, holy crap. And dudes started getting out, right?
Yeah.
And he that's how he got out. He was pretty much for a long time was pretty model. Early on, he got into a lot of shit once he realized he was going to be there a long time. Then he started to chill out and do his own thing. Got into his art big time. Great painter.
What age did he go in at?
It was early, man. Like 17 is when he first
dude
caught that case, man. At like 17, and then
he gets out.
Yeah, he was in the county. Yeah, at least right.
That's fucking unbelievable.
And he in the story, crazy stories. But tattooing Charles Manson, he tattooed that swastika on Charles Manson's
Oh, that's
head.
right. That's right. I saw the
bag of weed.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, man, it's when you start talking to people that have done that kind of time and things that happen, it blows your mind. But the plea bargains, I've always thought people should be able, if it doesn't hurt anybody, why wouldn't you take a plea bargain?
Right. Because then otherwise you're just playing like this weird tough guy game, and it's only gonna fucking fall in your face in the end, you know.
It can come back on you too. Well, my buddy that did all the time, Scott, me and him were friends. Like, he's one of the first guys on the street I started hanging out with. He's a few years older than me, and so a few years he moved for a little bit, and he caught a murder case, and he was actually offered like 15 years to cop to a manslaughter, and because they had no evidence whatsoever. Well, eventually his co-defendant was trying to get out of another case, and they offered him a deal, and so now he gets ready to go to court. Doesn't even know till the day of court his co-defendant's going to testify against him.
Fuck.
And so now he's like, hey, tell him I'll take the 15 years or whatever. The DA comes over and goes, no, smart ass. You're going to take this 50 years. Yeah. And if you don't take this 50 years I'm about to give you, you're convicted, I'm giving you 99.
Holy crap.
He had to take 50. He could have taken a 15 and got out in 7.
That's so crazy. Like to even be like a prosecutor, I think sometimes like that's so crazy. Like I understand when it's warranted, yeah. But like when it's like I could have gave him 15, but you know what? Fuck him. Give him 50. Like I could never be that person, man. That takes a certain type of person, man. Like I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, dude.
Yeah. And the worst ones to me are these. The worst ones are the ones who will give you that kind of time knowing they don't really have a solid case. Knowing that whoever their informant is could be a liar. It's come out where they just know, and they're just like, man, I want this guy, or I want to clear this case. Man, we've had several people come off of Texas death row because of bad testimony, and it come out that maybe the DA knew. You know, so that's, man, what kind of person can live with that?
I don't know.
You're just as bad as people that you claim you're putting away.
Yeah,
or worse, if you're doing it.
You took a life. Yeah. You basically took a life. You took somebody's life.
Yeah.
You know?
You're as bad or worse because you're supposed to be held to a higher standard.
Right.
And if you're doing that, man, you got to be a whole different mindset or whatever. You know? But, well, look, I got one to ask you, Ben, about being a content creator. What do you think? Because I mean, you're successful, man. You have a good, loyal following, man. You do a real good job on. You obviously put a lot of work into your videos. You don't just throw crap up or anything like that. You have very good work. What do you think is the key to being a successful content creator?
Well, I hope to be more successful. I will say that.
Always.
I appreciate how I've come, in 3 years. Sometimes I think, and it's a good way to answer the question. Sometimes I think I should be higher, maybe, or have this idea that, wow, I should, I got videos with hundreds of thousands of views, or 80,000, 100,000 views. How come I don't have that many subs? Sometimes I get a little jaded and, think like that I should have more or whatever. But I think consistency is number one, which has been a bit of an issue to me. A lot of that has to do with, I have to work, like normal people do. Get up in the morning, go to work. I work a job. I don't want to say real job because YouTube for many is their real job. Obviously
Sure,
we
man.
all know that. So I don't, but as far as, I have to leave the house every morning, get in my car, I got to do that whole routine.
Right.
So,
So
that
you're
plays
working two
into it.
jobs, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that plays into it a little bit, but I would say consistency, do things that you like, regardless of whether you think, like, let's say you get into the crime genre, right? Regardless of whether you think like that video might or might not get a lot of views, or you might think it might fall somewhere in the middle, do it. Who gives a shit? Like, just do it. Like, do that video. I've done so
Right.
many of those where I'm like, oh, this is going to be great, or I know it's not going to do well, but I'll do it anyway. And this is another way to answer the question. Part of the reason I do those videos is because when I go to YouTube, or if I have an interest in a case or an individual and I go to YouTube and there's no video on that individual, or there's no story about that case, or the videos that are there maybe only have 1,000 views or a few hundred views, I'll be like, all right, well, I'm going to do this video because I have more subs than anybody that's done a video on it. I'm going to get more views automatically because of that. And when somebody finally looks at that case, my shit's going to come up. So do things even if you don't think they're going to fucking smash. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
just do them, especially if they haven't been done. Do things that haven't been done. If you're in the crime genre, find an obscure case. Like, I'm in New York City, so I do that here. But if you're going to cover crime in general, find an obscure case from Kansas City in 1978 where a man murdered his whole family and it became the biggest story in Kansas City history. I've never heard of it. Probably a lot of people haven't heard of it. So find stuff like that, and do them regardless of whatever, because someday somebody is going to look at that, or someday somebody might make a movie about that. Somebody might make a movie about it, and people are going to go to YouTube, and you're going to be the only one that did it. So make an investment. Make it so it's like making an investment in yourself. Make an investment in your content. You know what I'm saying? Like, it might not hit now, but you never know. A year from now, it might hit for some reason.
Very good point. Yeah.
So,
and being the original one to do it is a big thing. Yeah. I mean, you kicked it off. That's a very good point, man.
Try to be, if you're in a niche and true crime is a niche or any niche, try to be the first one to do it. And if you're not the first one to do it and you live in the city where it happened, go to where it happened. Add another element to something. Always, like, I try to add another element to things. That's why I started going on the streets, right? That's why I started combining documentary combined with street location in one video, and just adding different, like, mixed media, right? Basically, that's what it is. I think of art like a mixed media painting. A guy threw a fucking can of paint on a canvas. He glued a piece of wood to it. He put a doll's head on it, mixed media. Like, if you could be multi-dimensional like you do, you might interview somebody, then you're going to do a food review, then you're going to do a fight video, then be capable of, like, adding other elements to your channel or your uploads, just look at it. That
makes it fun also, I think, too, man.
Yeah, and it makes it fun. It makes it fun.
Right.
And be original. Be original. Like, I don't know. I'll probably start talking.
That's tough. No, those are great points, man. Especially, I think that's hard for people to do, man, to think, okay, I'm going to do a story on whoever, man, Joe Smith. And like, shit, there ain't nobody's done a story on Joe Smith. There's no videos, there's no views. I'll go do something on Gotti or this, because that's easier, and there's already a lot of stuff there. So that's a great point, man.
Mike, I cover a lot of, like, New York City crime, and obviously I cover mob history in New York City. There might be 2 Gotti videos on my channel, maybe 2.
Right.
And you know what? I added another element to it. I went to certain places, or I did something to it. Like, another thing that I see, it's like people depending on other people to create content so that they can create their content. Like, I got to watch everything Joey Merlino's doing, so the next day I could do my half-hour show like I'm doing fucking Talk Soup on the E network. Like I'm fucking Talk Soup over here.
Yeah.
But without these other people working,
Yeah.
what are you good for?
What's the content that you're bringing? What are you bringing
Right,
to it? If
right.
you're literally just critiquing everything that
Yeah.
someone did. Well, that's the other thing that I see a lot that for me is it's not something that I want to do is constantly going after other people's stuff as far as like to down it or
Right.
even comments, bro. It trips me out, man, on YouTube, the stuff people like even TikTok, man. I did a pizza video yesterday and I got one comment. The guy's like, "Hey man, next time why don't you cook it? It looks raw."
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm just
Well,
thinking to myself,
well, that's kind of funny, but I know what you're saying in general.
you know what I mean? But like I've
I know
never in
what
my
you mean.
life
Yeah.
done anything
Yeah.
like gone
That's
to
another
somebody's.
element. Like, here's a tip. If you're going to go on YouTube, be prepared. And this is another thing I'm going to say.
Yes.
This is another thing I'm going to say. Be prepared for people to maybe mess with you. Be prepared for people to leave negative comments. And YouTube has an amazing function, Mike. It has the block function.
Yeah.
And people that get on their fucking high horse like, I'm a freedom of speech guy. You can come on my channel and bash me and make me out to be an idiot all you want because I love free speech. Well, not on my channel, because I know that I put a lot of work into what I do. And if I don't want you breathing oxygen here, you're not, so it's
cyberwhack, man.
And it's very simple. Cyberwhack, like you're blocked and you can make another Google account and come bash me and I'll block you again. I believe in the block button. Like I believe in like you're free to associate who you want, right? Free association, right? To me, it's the most important thing in the world. I've said it before. Freedom of association, freedom to associate with who you want to associate with and with ideas that you want to associate with, right? So when I see things like that on my channel, people like attacking me for whatever reason or being a wise ass or for like not everybody, but some of it, like I could see where that's coming from. I'm like, okay, well, this person's only here to talk shit about me. Probably doesn't even watch my channel. Just wants to sow some discord and maybe get under my skin. Well, you might have for a second, but you're gone now. So you'll never again get under my skin.
Right.
So don't be like, this is your fucking platform that you created. This is your channel. You're the dictator of that channel. You can destroy the empire anytime you want. You can shut your laptop, delete your fucking channel. But while you're there, I'm sorry. Like you have to do things in order to stay sane. Like you can't, like when people get really famous, Mike, like a Joe Rogan or whatever, they don't even look at their Twitters, right? They don't look at that. They don't look at their fucking Instagrams. But when you're like lower and you have like this minor influence inside a niche and you haven't made it, you get stuck looking at comments and trying to build your community. So don't let negative people make your community a shitty place. Block them, get rid of them. They're miserable people. They don't deserve to be on your platform. They're probably unattractive outside and inside. And just fucking get rid of them. They're trolls. They live under bridges.
Man,
that's it.
Yeah.
Don't be a fucking free speech autocrat. You're fucking, this is your channel. You're Mao Zedong. You're fucking Stalin, whatever you want. You're the fucking autocrat. It's your channel. Treat it with respect and, expect the same from others.
I agree, man. I had a guy come on and make a trolly comment to another person that commented on a video, right? And I mean, he was getting like aggressive with him on it. And I'm just thinking, man, and the dude he was doing it to is like a real guy who's actually like gotten into with people for real, like over stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, bro, you don't even know who you did. And I didn't say anything or whatever. I waited a second, see what he was doing. The other guy was just like, hey, man, God bless you. You're the toughest guy in the world. Have a good one or whatever. The guy comes back, says something, goes to his YouTube, makes a video.
Yeah.
And, man, I just blocked him. But I mean, it's
crazy.
like, bro,
it's crazy.
You're commenting on another guy's comment aggressively I don't get it, man.
Yeah, and that's who you're dealing with, because even when, and I've had the same problem, even when I'm respectful and I'll never publicly comment about somebody or I'll never address them publicly, like only a certain type of person has to take it to the next level after you do that. Some people walk away and be like, well, I'm not going to get this guy's attention. But no, they'll try to one-up it and they'll keep trying. They'll go on the channel and make comments on that guy's channel. They'll make videos dedicated to them. It's like,
Right.
bro, like go do something with yourself. You're obsessed with another man. I mean, like, what is your problem? And I'm not saying that happens to
What's
me.
going
There's
on with that?
maybe a little bit, but
No, everywhere. I know what you're saying. I get it. I get what you're saying. You know, Ice-T said, he goes, man, he goes, you know what I do? He goes, the block button's the best thing ever. Because apparently, I don't have a Twitter, but he's big on Twitter, and he said, man, when people come and say stupid stuff, he goes, I block them into the outer space or whatever. He goes, they're just commenting away or whatever. He goes, I don't even see it. He goes, I don't have time.
They're gone. Listen, you have the freedom to curate your internet experience. Why do you want it to be a bad experience? Let bad people hang out with bad people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right, man. Be miserable somewhere else with other miserable people.
That's it. That's
it.
It's like you turn on
we
your TV,
may have answered one of my next.
No, go ahead.
Right,
I'm sorry.
right. Yeah, exactly, man. It doesn't. No, dude. Listen, man. You're the guest, and I want to hear it. What I was going to say is, I may have me and you both may have actually answered some of my next question. Was going to be, well, what is the hardest part of being a YouTuber or a content creator? Some of what we just said, I'm sure, is a lot of it. But what do you have anything different you want to add to that?
Well, no, yeah. Well, putting yourself out there, like I said, taking a chance to put yourself out there, to put your work out there, to put your image out there. And I also want to say, like, a lot of what I do is selfish. I'm getting personal, gratification on it. And I also like, basically, a lot of what I do is, I forgot the question, Mike. Say it again. I just had a
no, that's okay. But what you just said, you said you do it for personal gratification.
Right. Partially,
but you're not doing it at the expense of other people, though.
Right.
That's what's so great about it, man. You may be that's awesome. You've got something you enjoy to do. You get some gratification out of it, but you're not doing it at the expense of other people.
So right. Thing. I mean, listen, yeah, you're right. You are right. But then there's people, there's this whole weird niche within the mob genre, let's say, that they don't want you talking about this, or, you're talking about this guy, you shouldn't be talking about it. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing that. I mean, there is that element of it. Well, those people will look at it. Oh, you're doing it at the expense of those people, a stand-up guy or whatever it is. I'm like, yo, this is like American history. Like, what are you talking about? I don't care. Like, that the idea that you grew up in Gravesend or Bensonhurst or Ozone Park or Howard Beach, and you might have knew a few guys, that means zero to me. That means nothing to me. Like, if you're a nice person and you're from there, which I've had countless people send me emails of people who grew up in, bro, that's one of the other good things about when you make a channel. You meet people, right? And you get emails from people. I can't even talk about some of the emails I get from people that have told me stories and this and that from Canarsie, Gravesend, all these areas. Most of those people are great people, and I love them, and they have something to offer. But there is this segment of it where it's like they think they grew up in a certain area, so they could only talk about it. Or, oh, I saw that guy at the candy store a few times when I was 12. So what the hell do you know about it? Oh, you get all your information from books. You know why they say that? You know why some people say that? You get all your information
what you think on that.
From books. They say that because they're not fucking intelligent enough to actually think there's information outside of books.
Right.
Because usually it's coming from an older person, first of all. Now, an older person, boomers and some Gen X people, not all of them, are still operating in this cable news mindset. Like, the news media is on television. The entertainment is on TV. That's where reality comes from. Books are the only place where something comes from. It can't be possible that you read through numerous pages of FBI documents. It can't be possible that you have court files. It can't be possible that you're looking at news archives. It can't be possible that maybe you spoke to a cop or somebody who was associated with these guys. Like, that doesn't exist to some of these people. Everything comes from a book and this and that. So there's that element also, Mike. There's that thing where it's like, coming back to it again, it's like some people do view it as if you're doing it at the expense of others and you're just getting everything from a book and you didn't come from a neighborhood and all this fucking nonsense. And it's very short-sighted thinking. And I know that people that say that feel a certain way about it. And it's clear to me that in their heads, they have built the reputations of these people up in their own heads. And they have built this history up in their own heads because they grew up there.
Mm-hmm.
But for many of them, it's not okay for me or Jeff Nadeau or you to build it up and talk about it from a historical standpoint because it is American criminal history. And a lot of these people were very bad people. A lot of these people, if they conspired to come together, they could shut down the fucking country at one point, literally. Right. So that is fascinating. And to say that you can't talk about it, that you don't know what you're talking about, this and this. Well, you know what? Change the channel, dude. Change the channel. You don't have to watch it. And, you know, I don't care that you grew up in fucking Bensonhurst. I don't care that my whole family's from Brooklyn. Who the fuck gives a shit? That doesn't mean anything. It's cool. Yeah. I mean, you got cool stories. You grew up in Brooklyn. It's all great, right? But when you're hiding behind an avatar and you're complaining and you're saying this and you're anti-rat and you're some kind of fucking tough guy and you're all this, there's a good chance you really got nothing going on in your life, buddy.
Nothing happened.
That's how I treat these people. And that's how I treat them. And I might sound like an asshole, but this is 3 years of YouTube knowledge of, you know, and I'm talking about a very small percentage, Mike. I'm talking like fucking 10%, right? And the other 90% are beautiful, amazing people from all over the country who are fantastic. And that's who I do it for. I do it for the guy in Australia, the guy in England, the guy in Ireland, the people in North Dakota who will never ever get to see. Look at my last video at Tommaso's. You see the comments.
Yeah.
You know, I can't believe I get to see this. You know, I'm probably never going to make it to New York. You know, I get to see what this looks like in real life. Yeah. So many people have, let's just say, let's go back to books once again. Many of the people have read the Westies book, right? Many of the people have read Murder Machine. Many of the people know these historic events. They live in Australia. They live in Ireland. Now they're getting a tour of something that is of great interest to them.
So cool, man.
And there will still be people who knock that, who have this, I own the Brooklyn streets, bro. What do? Like, oh, you got that street wrong, man. Oh, you were fucking 5 blocks, you know, to the left was Canarsie. You were technically in Flatlands. You don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, man.
Mike, I don't know if you have
experience with that. Holy
dude,
shit.
It gets that fucking pathetic. And I don't know if you know how New York City, works, Mike. You know, it's broken down into like thousands of neighborhoods, right?
Right.
So where I used to live in a neighborhood called Flushing, right? But the part of Flushing that I lived in, Mike, I could walk 30 feet across the boulevard. I was now in a town called Bayside.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So the lines sometimes blur, right?
Right.
And, you know, sometimes you'll ask somebody from Brooklyn, where are you from? Oh, yeah, I'm from like the, you know, Bath Beach, Bensonhurst there, you know, around there. I was in Bath Beach or Gravesend, this and that. And, you know, some people even look at these areas like, you know, I'm kind of from, you know, South Brooklyn, they'll say, because they identify with so many different neighborhoods. Like I tell people I'm from North Queens or whatever, because I identify with all of these areas. They're all in me, right? But I don't own it, is my point. I don't fucking own it. I don't own the history. I don't try to own the history. I have no right to own the history of the streets or the architecture of the crimes, nor does that jerk off on YouTube who thinks he's a know-it-all because he grew up 2 blocks from a social club. And he was never a criminal either.
No, so, but he knows everything about it.
But he knows everything.
You shouldn't be talking
because
about
he walked a street growing up.
Right. Well, like the thing with those people, like, okay, let's go to the people that say you're doing it at the expense of these people, because
those are the people I'm speaking
of. And you read books on it. Well, listen, man, a book's already been written on this. So for them to say you're doing it at the expense of it, you're talking about something that's been documented, and you may add an element to it or find out new stuff, like you said, in your investigation through an officer or talking to somebody like Pete the Pig or whoever, man. But the point is, what are you doing that's at the expense of someone? You're putting in work to do a story. You know what I mean? What's the difference of that? The news, a documentary on the History Channel, or whatever. Why is it such a problem, man? I don't get that, man, at all.
It's because, some people, to them, it's like some kind of taboo or you shouldn't talk about it. But like I said, listen, it's never somebody who was in the life. It's never somebody
Right.
whose father was in the life or something like that, because those people, they might be good people, they might be bad people, but they usually have some kind of different level of decorum. Sometimes they have a high level of shame. So they don't want to tell you that their
Right.
family was in it. They don't want to don't want to watch YouTube videos about it. Yes, they have accepted it, but they don't want anything to do with it. Take DeMayo's family, for example. You don't fucking see those people parading themselves around. I mean, anybody would interview any one of his children and would love to interview, but that's shameful.
Yeah.
Like
they're not proud of that aspect
of
the name and everything.
Right.
Gotcha.
But some
people,
man,
that makes sense.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's like they hide behind avatars, they hide behind fake names, troll accounts. Because if you actually saw what these ugly people look like, you might break your fucking laptop. That's why That's why they do it, because they're as ugly as they are inside as they are outside.
Just all the way around.
That's why they do what they do. It's as simple as that.
The question,
and I hate to cut you off, but that's not even the crime genre, Mike. That's across the board. Like your friend on Twitter. Yeah, that's everything. We are an extremely online culture, right? So that's everything. That's X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. There's people there to sow discord and to spread their illness and their disease everywhere in order to upset people, and that's how they get off.
That's what they do, man. I'm telling you, man. I 100%. And you know what? It's just like you said, man. Almost every time that I have one of those weirdo troll, and I actually like them on TikTok, because I treat TikTok different, man. I treat TikTok more as just, I want those troll comments there because they're funny and they lead to a bunch of comments there. I don't really have like a community there. It's just not the same to me. I like it. I'm putting entertaining stuff. I want to continue to build it, but it's not the same as like,
not the same sense of community, right?
No, not at all, man. Not at all. And it's so random, have people come up. I had to do that. Fight me. What are you talking about, bro? Fight.
Yeah, it's too easy. It's too easy on TikTok. Yeah, I feel like. Yeah.
I had one guy. He was trying, and I wonder sometime if these people are in another country and using like a voice thing or whatever to try to do it because the words, or they just can't type or something. One of them was like, "Fight me, feast to feast," like a feast, like you're eating. And I was like, "Bro, we're gonna sit down and eat." And to explain to me how this is going. That
sounds like medieval times.
I guess. Yes, that's what it is.
That's what it is. We're gonna eat a chicken. We're gonna eat a turkey leg, and we're gonna fucking get on a horse, and we're gonna hit each other with sticks.
We're throwing down with joust and stuff.
Joust,
man, it's crazy, man. Dude, I mean, just the aggressive. You could tell how angry these people are. In these comments. It's like,
it's fucking crazy. And like I said,
hey, little scared girly boy, with your pockets in. Scared girly boy, and it's just like, it just blows my mind.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And like I said, listen, as far as the internet or even my channel, listen, I'm talking about like 10% of people out there.
Right. Even
90% of the other people, which is a pretty good margin. 90% of them are fantastic people. I love them. I have a great community. It's just that tiny percent of ugliness that sometimes you can't avoid.
No, I know.
But it's more of it's a reflection of society. I don't know what it is, but
and they have access. It's easy access. They jump on there and they can say what they want, and that's it. I'm gonna pull up just a couple of thumbnails that you have of some.
Same thing with voting, by the way. Easy access,
anybody. They may need to be more.
Anybody can vote. Is that a good thing? I don't know.
It's funny you say that, man. I was talking to Rob the other day, and he was actually taught Rob Ross. He was talking about
Mhm.
voting and
Yeah.
whether or not felons should be reinstated their rights after so long to vote and things like that. He's just kind of talking about he likes political stuff or whatever. But I was just going to pull up a couple of these, man. This was
Sure. Yeah.
an interesting character, and
Yeah.
I mean man, that's a that's one. Samuel L. Jackson played Stax in
Yes.
why can't I think of in Goodfellas?
Goodfellas. Yeah.
And so yeah, um, just an interesting character. And I know you were talking about potentially doing something more with that. I don't know
Yeah.
if you
I would really like to. I've spoken to some of the family members.
right.
It's a matter of a couple of different ways it can go. I'd have to figure out how to fund it,
Right.
or I don't know, because I did the other Stacks upload. Yeah. So that location video, yeah, that was great, man. I mean,
That's neat, man.
once again,
And
showing people where these things happened. Like you see Samuel Jackson get killed in the movie. You have this, and it speaks to what we were saying before, Mike. Goodfellas, right? One of the all-time famous movies of American cinema, right? Even world, depending.
right.
I'm not like a movie encyclopedia, but a phenomenon, right?
Oh, it's tough. Yeah,
Goodfellas,
yeah.
and so it's like that's historical, right? Because it's attached to the Lufthansa heist. It's attached to a notoriously, legendary film. So should I not cover that? Should I not go to those locations?
Right.
Like
Because you weren't there. Because you weren't there when
right,
it happened. You don't have the right to cover it or
right,
talk
like
about it or whatever else.
right.
Yeah, it's
Well,
silliness, man.
yeah, but to go to those locations, like that was really cool. I went to where they found the Lufthansa heist van over there in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
On like kind of like the touching on Brownsville almost, not really. But and obviously the house where he was living in his apartment where he was actually murdered. Just giving the people a tour of Brooklyn, Ozone Park, and putting
That's cool,
actual
man.
putting actual imagery to
Yeah,
that
real
story,
work.
you
Right.
know.
And it may be the first time I've even seen it. It is the first time. I'll say that. It's the first time I saw anybody get intense on the character of Stax. And by character, I mean person of Stax. And the information just that you came out with, period, on him, I think is phenomenal, man. Even talking about him being a bodyguard.
Oh, the Muhammad Ali. Yeah, I did the other Stacks
Yeah,
video. We dug into his FBI file.
right.
We spoke about. I mean, I'm listen. I don't think I'm changing the world with my channel. I don't put myself on a pedestal, but for a very long time, there was only one picture of Stacks available, and that was his mugshot. I have
Right.
since brought out numerous pictures of Stacks to the world. They were already existing. I didn't take them, but
Yeah.
I unearthed them and let people know. Here are these pictures. I have video footage of Stacks singing,
Yeah.
giving an interview
I
that
remember you saying.
that I have not released. I have
Yeah.
pictures from the family that I have not put out. You could actually
That's
hear
incredible.
Stack's voice. You could see him sit down, talking, singing, dancing. I have video footage of this stuff that I haven't put out, like I said. But and this is another thing that I'll get to with the problem with starting a channel. People, shout out Luke
People.
Combs. People.
Lee.
This is another thing that you're gonna find. It's like people are gonna accuse you of talking about the same thing that everybody else talks about. The mob genre is dead. Everybody talks about the
Yeah, you
same
always say
thing.
that.
Motherfucker, no, we don't. First of all, because the ones that are really doing it are always coming out with interesting new information that you didn't
That's
know.
right.
We're not talking about the same people, and we're not like we're trying to find new things. We're not just trying to like fucking sit there and talk about the Castellano hit or something. I
Yeah.
mean, we're trying to put pieces together. We're trying to look at FBI files to bring new information to people that is not out there. We're trying to find new pictures of people. We're trying to put new storylines into the world that maybe haven't been discussed in books or whatever it may be. Like the ones that take it seriously, we're always doing that.
Right.
Um, But that's another thing you're going to get. People are going to accuse you of just being mundane and talking about the same thing. But that's because maybe they have lost interest in the genre. So that means you should go away.
You should stop too.
And do something else or view different content. Stop viewing this content because you're just hate watching at some point. And I do that too. I hate watch things. There's people's channels.
But I don't comment on it. I guarantee you that.
Yeah. There's channels that are out there that I can't stand the fucking guy, but I still hate watch it for some reason. But I don't comment like a loser.
Of course, man.
I just feel pathetic and hate watching.
Right. See, that's the difference, though. That's what I do, bro.
I just sit there with my pathetic self, hate watch it, and that's good enough for me.
Just like I am. That's enough. I don't need to be publicly out there known that I'm hate watch. Exactly. No, bro. I think a lot of people do that, but that's what separates us or anybody who doesn't go in there and make a comment from people who do, because we have the self-control and the whatever it is about ourselves that we don't want to be making comments just our asshole stupid comments. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Whether we like it or not, that person put that comment, put that content.
Yeah.
Whether I hate it or not, I'm not going to go put the negative in.
Why put out the negativity? And it's why put out, listen, especially like me, like I know I'm talking about negative stuff. So the least I could do is be nice to my audience, like their comments, respond. Look at my channel. Look at my channel. Any video I did, you're going to see numerous replies to the commenters. You're going to see a bunch of hearts, and I'm always conversing with my audience. You know, imagine making negative content and talking about evilness all the time and then being a piece of shit on top of that. You know?
Exactly, man.
Like you got to
I can't
counterbalance that.
I'd just be down, bro. I would just be you just have to be just completely miserable, because if you thrived and were happy in that, you're probably not a good person, and maybe not be on be on the street anyway.
Right. Just try to be a good person. Like, it feels good to be good. It feels good to be good to people or to help people or whatever it is. Like, that's, you get satisfaction of that.
Of course.
And if you don't, then, you know, I don't know.
And you know what? Good people notice that, and I think that's probably why you have such a good following and you have a good audience, because people they notice that about you, and they probably like that. They know you're not sitting there the whole time just about, you know, like dogging whoever because his video sucked or this or that or whatever, man. You're positive. You bring the new aspects to it. Like, you know, like you said, you know, you've got stuff. I never saw any other videos about that stuff. I know a lot about Ali. I know that Mr. T was his bodyguard at one point, which was more of a show thing than anything. But still, I hadn't heard of the fact that Stax was a bodyguard for him or anything like that. And I mean, that was interesting. So I was shocked. You know what? In fact, a friend of mine that ran the boxing gym with me at the time, Lee Canalito, learned from Ali, and he may have actually came in contact with Stax. I haven't had a chance to talk to him.
Yeah, he was with Ali for 3 fights.
Okay. I've got to find out, man.
The one before Frazier and the one after.
Okay. I'm going to find out, man, because
was it the Argentinian guy or something? What was his name? Was the Argentine guy he fought? I don't know. Maybe, but I know that Lee was with him in Miami with at whatever street gym it was there in Miami, and that's where he actually learned. Like he went from college football straight into boxing fast because he hurt his knee, and he had a fast track from there with Stallone as his manager, and then he got into movies with Stallone and stuff like that. But my point is, it just blows my mind because he would talk about the people who were around him, like Boudini Brown and guys like that were around Ali at the time, who were, you know, and he told me how Ali was a really nice guy to him, you know, really nice guy to him. And, you know, the other side that people just didn't see of Ali, I guess, you know, knowing, and people who, because Ali's the kind of guy who people either really loved or really hated, I think. I think he's one of those guys, you know? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I would say that's probably true. I mean, now probably not so much. I think he's universally kind of beloved.
Right.
But there was probably
But at the
definitely
time,
people back then, you know, for whatever reason, draft dodger, motherfucker, you
right,
know, whatever the fuck
right,
it is, you know,
right. Exactly.
Muslim. Now he's a Muslim. Can you believe it?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. So he was very polarizing, especially back then. You'd have to say, but
Yeah.
like I said, Lee was just like, man, that guy's probably one of the nicest people. Like the stuff that he had from him, like artifact type stuff, was like really cool, man. I
Well, I'll
mean,
tell you this, man. He says Muhammad Ali's a really nice person. I'll tell you this, and I've never spoke about this as far as Stacks goes. So the biggest mystery was, okay, well, how did Stacks end up working for Ali? How did that happen? Like, was it a mob thing? Like, I went down the Dundee route, and maybe some other guys that might have been around, and maybe some guys he knew, whatever it might be. And there's a little things there, but nah, none of it made sense until his sister told me that, well, he just went down to the hotel and just waited and waited till Muhammad Ali and just begged him for a job. He just like, listen, man, come on, man. You know, I could be a bodyguard, you know, this and that. I need a job, blah, blah, blah. Muhammad Ali said, yeah, maybe, I guess so. And that's how it happened.
that's crazy, man. How
That's how it
cool is
happened.
that? You know,
He
for
stalked
a
him
guy
at
to
the
go, hey,
hotel. Yeah, he stalked him at his hotel, begged him for a job. You know, listen, that's what he told his own sister. So I'm going to take that as true, you
right.
know?
What reasons he got to lie to her about that?
Right.
I mean, there's no
Yeah.
what. Why would you even make that up? I mean, there's not even
Yeah.
an aspect of like, you know, if it would have been
Right.
some like story like, oh, he saw me,
Yeah.
I saw a guy coming at him and I crushed him, and he was like,
Right.
hey, I
Right.
need you as my bodyguard, some superhero story.
Yeah, and
Then
if it
you'd
had
be like,
something to
okay,
do with
well,
organized crime, you know, if it had something to do with organized crime, he would just probably say, "Yeah,
probably say it.
my
Yeah,
friend's in the business. My friend was able to give me a job. Yeah, he hooked me up."
right,
You know?
right. Penny
Yeah,
sausages got me in.
yeah,
Nah, I got you.
yeah,
Let me
yeah.
see, man. I'm gonna pull up a couple of these real fast. I think there was a couple of interesting ones. I'm just gonna pull up.
Oh, yeah, that was a
There
recent
was
one. Yeah,
that was one that was pretty. That I mean, pretty
that was
cool.
one I redid actually. Yeah,
Is that right? Okay,
that
here's
was an
one,
old one. Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Oh my god.
77,000 views. I mean,
Yeah,
now this will kind of go into my next deal, man. I'm gonna try to wrap it up with you, man. I don't want to hold you a whole long,
yeah.
but
Whatever, man. We're good.
so
Yeah.
uh so this is Sammy, man, and man, listen, man, you do a pretty damn good Sammy. You do a lot. That was going to be one of my questions: is impressions. Have you always done impressions, bro?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
is it
Since I was a kid. Yeah, yeah. That's another thing. You talk
cool,
about
man?
being creative. Like I always wanted to get into like voiceover work or even comedy, doing skits. When I was a kid, man, I used to in the '90s when I was a kid. I grew up. I don't want to say grew up fast, but I grew up very culturally aware at a young age, Mike. Like I was 10 years old, and all I cared about was listening to the radio. I knew so much about music. People look at me
Awesome.
and say, I've had it before, like, yeah, you don't remember when we used to put cassettes in the boom box and record from the radio. I said, bitch, yes, I do. I was fucking maybe 10 years old. I said, maybe I was 10 or 11 years old, but you better believe I was doing it. Like that was my shit.
Yeah.
We had my cassette. I was putting it in.
Right.
I'll wait for the song to come on. Oh, press record really quick just to
Boom.
pick it off the
Oh
radio.
yeah.
I would make my own mixtapes. What I would also do was I would make my own comedy skits as a kid. I would do voices
Cool.
into I don't know how I didn't become a comedian because I would sit there and with my friend and we would do skits and we would do crazy voices and we would record them on the cassettes and we would play them back and laugh and prank phone calls and everything. So yeah, I've always been known to do impressions and kind of just like do that. I don't know how, why, but
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's a
yeah,
trip because like me and my brother used to do that. I mean, I'm talking about starting from back in like the 70s, man.
yeah.
We'd be doing like we'd watch Saturday Night Live and we'd do who was it? We Are Two Wild and Crazy Guys. And we do Steve Martin and Dan Aykroyd as Wild and Crazy Guys and
Uh-huh.
stuff. We literally like put the stuff
Yeah,
on, man, because we had those clothes in for real, like the
yeah,
plaid and the bell bottoms and whatever,
right.
man. Or
And you
we
needed
do
to do something
whatever,
to
man.
entertain yourself.
Right.
Yeah,
And then by the time the 80s come and you've got a camcorder and you can actually record this crap, Oh man, dude, now
Yeah.
we're really rocking and
Yeah.
rolling, bro. So yeah, I'm glad all those tapes are probably destroyed. You know what I'm saying, or no good,
Oh
or
my
dried
God,
up.
Bo. Oh my God, Bo.
That now listen, man, that was going to be. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but man, you got a good. Tell me a good Sammy one, man. What do you got? You got one,
I
man.
just make something up, I guess. But
Anything,
that Sammy
man.
video was cool. If you guys check that out, I went into Tally's, which is reported to be haunted at one point, because 2 murders took place inside there. Michael DeBat and Stymie D'Angelo. 2 murders that took place actually inside there. Now it's a Chinese restaurant. And they were saying it was like haunted in the early 2000s. There was a whole news story on it or whatever. But that was cool. But yeah, Sammy. So
that building's still there?
Oh yeah.
It's
yeah,
still there. And
yeah.
I wonder if any of like those ghost hunter people, man, ever go into anything like that.
Right. Yeah. See, so the thing with New York is like, a lot of these neighborhoods, like even like you'll see it like, let's say Bushwick or Crown Heights, or even like places like that are on long boulevards. Like at one point, it was like, we were building out these blocks in New York City, and the structures on the block are all connected, right? So it's one long block, but it's not individual buildings. It's one long structure,
right,
sectioned off into individual kind of properties, right? So it's kind of hard to really take that away from New York. So that's why you can go into these old neighborhoods, and these, places are still there, because the only way for them not to be there is to level the entire
take the
block.
whole everything. Right.
A lot of the time, yeah. That's not to say that it hasn't happened where a piece was broken off or whatever.
Right.
Of course, it happens a lot. But in New York City, you get that where entire. I mean, even if you like I said, Bushwick. I mean, you can go to Bushwick, Mike, and you could look down like 100 yards. It feels like 100 yards. It might even be, and all the row homes are all connected. It's just one long connected block of houses. And
I was tripping watching your video yesterday, man. The one at is it Tomaso's? Is that
yeah.
Okay. Just how it was just like rows, because it's so different from the landscape of everywhere that I've been to in Texas or down south, period.
Just rows of houses.
It's like, everybody has they're building more stuff like that now with connected townhomes. And in some of the older neighborhoods, they'll tear down, and they're doing like a row of townhomes, and they're all connected. They're 3 stories straight up. You're getting two houses on one lot, or 3 houses on one lot. So that's happening more. But I'm just saying, I haven't seen it like to that, like where that was just like that, bro. And
it's everywhere. I mean, it's everywhere. And some of it, Mike, in some neighborhoods, it's actually really beautiful. Like the brownstone and the old architecture. It's really nice stuff. Really nice. And, unfortunately, at one point, a lot of neighborhoods like Bed-Stuy and everything were bad neighborhoods, right? Mm-hmm. But despite that, like when Biggie was there, despite those being bad neighborhoods, these people might not have lived in great neighborhoods, and there's poverty and crime. There is something beautiful about their homes, these old brownstones and these old things. And now those neighborhoods, who's moving in?
Right. It's hipsters, all like,
white hipsters. Right. And those brownstones are selling for $2 million. And because the architecture has stood the test of time, it's over 100 years old.
Yeah.
It's quality. It's beautiful. And so that's another cool thing, about New York, I guess.
Sure. No, it is, man. That's neat. And that's why when you were going through there, it was just like, dang, man, it's so different. And so like you said, man, you're bringing that to people who aren't there. I mean, I could go on Google Maps and look at Earth or whatever, but I'm not getting a guy telling me this is this area, this is this. So when I'm watching that, and people in Ireland or England or wherever, man, in New Zealand are watching you do that, that's why they appreciate it so much, because you're on the ground showing this, talking about it. It's just, it's a service, man, and people appreciate it, bro. And it's neat, man, that you
that's who I do it for. I do it for those people, And not to say that there's plenty of New Yorkers. Even look at the comments on the list. There's plenty of New Yorkers who appreciate it. And like I said, 90% of the people are amazing people. But there's the jaded New Yorker also, where it's like, wow. Well, it's like, dude, I'm not doing it for you. I'm not doing it for you.
Right.
I'm doing it for
exactly,
I'm doing it for Ryan O'Connor in Dublin. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing it for you.
Exactly.
Fucking Bensonhurst boy.
But bro,
Ozone Park boy. Flushing boy.
You're right there.
I'm not doing it for you.
Yeah.
So
it's for the people that, but guess what, man? It just like you said earlier, that carries over from every genre, everything. I'll do a boxing video about this is the stand, or do the right hand, man. Make sure your shoulders up. I had a guy, no duh. Or
the video was not made for you.
That's the beginning of 101. I'm like, bro, I'm glad you're the heavyweight champ, Tyson Fury, or whoever this is. Comment. I hope. I'm glad you won the championship, Evander.
Yeah.
But I'm not making this video to help you. This is for someone who's never done that. And then on top of that, did you tell your coach no duh when he told you that, when you learned that in the gym?
Yeah. It's like pathetic. It's pathetic. An 18-year-old fat kid could have saw your video and that might have inspired him. He might have saw your video
people,
and man,
that are like, thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some out of shape, low self-esteem fat kid might have came across your video and he started doing
doesn't want to go to a
wow,
gym.
you know what? That feels good. Maybe I'll go box. Like that's for them. That's who that's for. Or people who just like content.
Who want to hear it, want to learn it.
You know?
Yeah. It wasn't for Evander, man.
Crazy, bro.
I didn't make that video for Mike Tyson.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's the same as you.
It's just
you made a video that people can enjoy across the world, or people that are from there that want to be nostalgic and be, oh crap, man, he's walking through my neighborhood or whatever. And they enjoy it. But like you say, you're still going to get the guy who you didn't make that video for, who's got to make a comment. He's got to tell you, listen, man,
he's got
your camera's turned this way, and that's you son of a.
He can't help himself. Or I'll drop. No, I don't dislike this that much, but it's still, I look at it as a kind of a dick move. I'll drop like 700 facts, but that 701 fact that I didn't mention, bro, you didn't mention this.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what the fuck, bro? That's your contribution. It's like, I'll let you live. I'm not gonna like get rid of you, but come on, dude.
Come on, man. I get it, man. It's just but see, the thing you're saying, it's so funny because that carries over to everything. It'll be like, oh yeah, you told him that, but you didn't say to follow through on it. This is a 1 minute short, bro. I can't teach you how to fight everything that has to do with it in 1 minute. I can give you this much. I'm making a short. If I make a long video, I'm going to sell it to you. You're not going to get it free anymore. No, but I mean,
don't make it too long, man, because too long is boring, man. Don't make it too long.
This is too long. Why'd you make it so long?
Yeah.
Shit, bro.
That's funny, dude. Yeah.
Hey, man. Do you have any projects you're working on coming up, man, that you want to talk about, before we head off? Or
yeah, so I have what do I have? Oh, I'm working on a story about, because to be honest, like I did take like, a couple weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, away from YouTube. I was away. I didn't want to post anything. I wasn't looking at anything. And I knew I had to come back with like a good video, whatever, to come back to, whatever it was. But I really don't want to talk about like organized crime that much anyway. And a lot of it has to do with some of the ugliness that comes with it and some of the negativity from people and some of the general negativity of it, I guess. So I am working on some stories, other New York stories that have nothing to do with the mob, more unsavory people like serial killers and snipers and all types of weird stuff like that,
Cool.
So I'm currently working on a story about a serial killer out of Long Island. Not Rex Heuermann.
I was about to say, you got another one out there, bro.
Not Rex Heuermann. Not Joel Rifkin. Not John Bitroff. Not fucking the many serial killers and lunatics that have been on Long Island. Yeah, no, Long Island is bizarre, dude. I almost am debating maybe making like a Long Island crime spot or kind of doing
you look like you need it, man.
I think so, Mike, because I do these Long Island videos and they're kind of getting lost on my channel because YouTube algorithm bullshit. So this is another thing I've been thinking about, maybe starting a separate channel, maybe doing something different, maybe a different Long Island channel. So I can cover New York City and Long Island. That's something I've been thinking of to open myself up to a new algorithm and all that other nerdy stuff we don't have to talk about. But this is another serial killer by the name of Robert Schulman, who 5 women in the 1990s, women of the night, as they say. I honestly don't think I don't know, let's just put it at like the 70s, 60s. I don't know. I don't think Long Island has ever, I'm going to say, let's just say the last, what is 50 years ago? What would that be? That would be
74,
something like that.
50 years ago, you say 50?
Yeah, 50. Yeah, let's just say 50. Let's just say 50 years, Mike. I don't think there has been a point in the last 50 years in Long Island's history where there hasn't been a man murdering prostitutes.
Wow.
I don't think so.
Damn, man, that's man, that's a lot.
And if and if you look into like, if you
What
look
do you
in like
think?
how
Are they just going there? Is this travelers coming there, or is this just people that were?
No, it's just these weirdos on Long Island, and I say that because like not because all those people are known, because there's a lot of cold cases on Long Island of sex workers that were murdered over the years. But you did have a point where it's like Joel Rifkin, right? 17 women he murdered, some in Long Island, some in Manhattan. And as Joel Rifkin is getting caught, Long Island serial killer, who is assumed to be Rex Heuermann, he has just been tied to a homicide in 1993, has been indicted for it. So Rifkin gets caught in 93. Rex Heuermann starts his career. After Rifkin, this guy, Robert Shulman, is starting his career as well as a sex worker killer. Rex Heuermann has been doing it until he got caught in 2023. And then there's a lot of other stuff before that going on. So I would say, honestly, Mike, the last 40 or 50 years, I don't know if there's a point where there hasn't been a creep on Long Island killing women.
That's nuts.
And I think
wonder if they ever bump into each other. I mean, it's like
it's bizarre. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there is an age difference. I think Rifkin is the oldest, and then it's like Shulman's a little younger, maybe around Rex Heuermann's age. He passed away in prison, I think, a few years ago.
Okay.
So there is somewhat of an age difference between them. But I really do think that there's other ones out there in Long Island. And I don't think they're, like I said it 100 times. I don't think there's been a point where
there was
women on Long Island or in New York City weren't getting murdered by inhabitants of Long Island. It's a beautiful place. I like Long Island a lot. I spend a shit ton of time out there. It's not far from where I live, but it's got a really dark history.
That's a trip, man.
It's got a really dark history. That's got the Amityville horror, Mike, of course. That was
there. Okay,
Amityville, Long Island. Yeah, I mean, he took out his whole family. I mean, it's just
that's a trip though, because it's the reason you say that, because like that's a small area, man, right? And so near Galveston, there is the killing fields, right? And you got I remember even as a kid, man, coming, like driving, and they'd have these billboards up and like, have you seen this woman? She disappeared. Like, and it'd be like from this restaurant we just went to. There's like nice restaurants there, famous restaurants like Guido's or whatever. They've been there forever, and seafood restaurants or whatever. And like the lady worked there that morning and she disappeared. And it's like all these, and guess what? They start to, solve some of them. It's not the same dude. It's not like it was the same guy doing it. And let me tell you, man, I don't think it, and there'll be more that pop up. There'll be, and like, what? Here's a weird thing, man. This was this year, man. Probably a month or two ago, maybe a couple months ago, 2 months ago or so. Me and my daughter at like coming back. We're driving from Galveston, and we stopped like in right where the killing fields would be, and we're gonna go into two stores, right? And we're gonna go into like Five Below. Y'all have those out there, man?
Yeah. My girl's obsessed with Five Below.
Yeah, my daughter loves Five Below, bro. So she's like, let's stop at Five Below, and something else was there too. So I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever you want to do, let's stop. So we pull up over there, man. We walk in, and the manager, it's a lady. She walks over to me, she says, "Excuse me, sir," and I'm just like thinking, what, I didn't know what she's coming up to ask, and she was like, do you mind walking these two girls to their car?
What?
And I was like, and yeah, my daughter, and we're like, what's wrong? Well, I want to find out what's going on first. You know what I'm saying? There's just two young girls. They're probably 14, 15 years old. Scared. One of them's crying, man. One of them's crying. The other one, they're freaking out, right? And I go, and I'm like, well, what's going on? And so, you know, I mean, this isn't like some domestic issue. Y'all need to call the cops. I'm not getting involved in that type of stuff. She goes, no, this guy is following them around the store, and they're scared to death. And, you know, they didn't even tell me. I just saw how scared they were and asked them what was wrong. Whoa. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, of course, man. You know, yeah, let's go. And so me and my daughter, we walk and like, come on, you know. And so I said, y'all go ahead of us, you know, and we'll just walk you out there. And so we walk them out there, and I was like, well, you know, is this someone you know or something? Because I was still trying to figure it out. And I'm like, no, he just started following us around the store and saying, you know, weird stuff or something. I look back, the dude comes out of the store and goes and hides behind like one of the pillars or posts that's holding up the building, you know, around the front.
Yeah.
And he goes around there, and he's acting like he's on the phone or something. And so we walked him out there. They had 2 separate cars. They must have just started driving, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but yeah, it must be really
very young girls, man. You know, and it's dark outside, and yeah, man, it was weird. And so they get into their cars. We come back, and the guy just takes off, starts walking off, you know, around the
creepy,
or
right?
something. And, it was way creepy, bro.
People are creepy.
And the lady was like, well, thank you. Oh, it was, but we leave there, and my daughter's just like, wow, that was, you know, that was very weird. You know, I mean, that was just like, we weren't expecting it. It's in the spot where the killing fields are. It's like, all these people attracted to these areas? I mean, it's just like,
you know what? Yeah, man, it's just weird. I don't know, like, man, I don't know how to explain Long Island. It's like, well, it's broken up into 2 different counties: Nassau County, Suffolk County. Nassau being, you know, closer to the city, and then Suffolk is a little farther out, right? Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, Mike. I mean, it's just has a history of bizarre people and awesome people at the same time, you know.
Right.
It's got a lot of history, you know. Very cool people. Well, you know, Billy Joel, whatever, you know, just like a lot of cool shit also.
Right.
But there's something.
How is there such a cluster?
Yeah, there's like something in the water there. I really don't know. I don't know.
That happens, man.
It's an odd place. A lot of infamous things have happened there. A lot of killers.
Yeah. I think you definitely should. You know, if you have the time and you feel like doing that, you should dabble into that, man, because you may have a whole another successful deal going with that, man.
Yeah, I think I have to, man. What do you think? Long Island crime spot? Does that sound good?
Yeah, man.
Like shit.
Oh, that's dope, man. That's dope.
New York City
serial killers of Long Island, but then it puts you in a pigeonhole. But
Long Island crime spot. Yeah, no, there's a tons of things, man. I mean, there's the Suffolk County sniper. I mean, I don't mean to laugh. Yeah, I don't mean to laugh.
No, I know there's nothing funny, but it's like good.
In the 1990s, there was a guy picking people off in Long Island. This is another thing a lot of people don't know about. And then there's everything, all the mobsters live there. Of course, Roy DeMeo did his first murder in Long Island. What's reported to be his first murder. He lived there. He ended up killing more than one person out there. But yeah, crazy stuff.
And you know, that's another place that you don't see a lot of footage of or anything like that. As far as like this type of style you do, man. So, man, I think you'd be super successful with that, bro.
Yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot, man. I might have to do it.
I think if you had the time and you did it, I know it'd be successful, man. I'm gonna pull up your little banner there, man, for everybody. Please make sure and go check out NYC Crime Spot. Great channel, great, always great content, man, and you're always just always a good dude, man. You're always fun to watch, pleasant. You've always been cool to me, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
buddy. Hey, man, if you decide to do that, man, we'll do another one, man, and talk about that. If you crank out the Long Island crime spot,
I think I might have to, man, because I might have to because I don't know the way the YouTube algorithm works. I don't want to bore anybody, but I might have to do it.
See what happens. Do it, bro. That'd be dope. I think that'd be awesome. I think it'd be successful as hell, man.
Be something different. But you know what'll happen then? You know what'll happen then, Mike? You grew up in Queens.
Up?
What the hell do you know?
What the hell are you doing there?
You grew up. You're a city guy.
Doing there?
You're a fucking city guy. What do you know about Long Island?
You don't know nothing about Long Island. Hey, listen, man.
Yeah, I heard
Stay
about
over
that
there.
guy. I heard he grew up in Queens.
Exactly. He's over here tapping in the. Hey, buddy, you should have started a channel, you dumbass.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Shit.
Wow,
Hey,
wow,
man.
this went longer than an hour and 35.
We went
Wow, look at
longer
that.
than we thought, but it was.
Holy
I
crap.
appreciate it, bro.
No, it was awesome.
It was fun, man. And stick on for a second, man. After I
thanks for having me.
I shut her down, but yeah, man. Thank you. Is there anything you want to say too, man?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Go to check out my channel, NYC Crime Spot. I have all types of content on there. It's not just mob stuff. There's plenty of non-mob stuff, bizarre, weird stories you might never have heard of. Yeah, man, just come out, hang out, leave a nice comment or I'll block you. And listen, anyone that wants to start a channel just because you got other things going on, I have a full-time job, I can't do that. Yeah, you could do whatever you want. I have a full-time job. You could do whatever you want. Just give it a shot. Test it out. You never know. Make your life interesting. Don't, right. What was that Slap Chop infomercial years ago? Slap Chop? The guy that did the ShamWow.
Oh, yeah.
Slap Chop. When he's chopping the slap chop, he goes, he's crushing the tuna and he adds some peppers and he goes, stop having a boring tuna, stop having a boring life. So
exactly,
matching the tuna. So stop, just because, listen, stop having a boring life. If you think your life is mundane and you always felt like you wanted to be creative and you wanted to just do it. What's the big deal? Just do it. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Just do it. It's cool, man.
Just be prepared for the comments, the people. You have to be able to have that to take it. I think you got to be able to know in advance that there are the bad people out there. They're going to say stupid stuff.
Of course.
And if you can't deal with that, then don't do it.
Yeah. I mean, what is there? 7 billion people in the world? You're exposing yourself to all of them.
Yeah. But don't let, but my advice also will be don't let them stop you either.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
No pressure, bro.
Don't let them stop you either.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, Bo. Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Again, man, appreciate it big time, man. Thank you so much for
taking Mike. Appreciate you. Thank you, buddy.
To talk with me, man. I think we had a good little talk, man. Good show, man, and I really enjoyed it, bro.
I'll share it for sure.
And thank you, man. Thank you to everybody who watched this video, man. Please click like, subscribe to Crime Spot Show, and share it and all that stuff, man. That's all I got.
You got to drop this as a live premiere. Let's get the chat going. What do you think?
Let's get it going right now. Hell yeah. No, I'll put it as a premiere for sure, man. Thank you. I appreciate it big time, man.
All right, man. Thanks, brother.